you made this short film, who is very interesting because it is very concise, very simple in terms of the story, yet it does hit the point of making us laugh, making us really live a comic moment with your protagonists and with the situation. And I just want to know what triggered this idea, and how did you go about writing it and then later on directing it?
Sure. Yeah, happy to talk about that. First of all, because you said it's a simple idea, I thought so too. And then it turns out when you try to make something simple in New York, it is actually not that simple. I have Italian heritage. My dad is Italian, so small cars and them parked in, small alleyways is something that I know from my childhood and I've seen a lot. However, finding an alleyway in Manhattan is actually not that easy. And we had a lot of location scouting to find this space in between, this gap in between houses, because in Manhattan, everything really is like wall to wall. And yeah, so that was really hard to find, actually, although I thought this is all one location, it's going to be easy. So that was the first challenge that we faced. And the small car, which I thought is like something, so normal to me coming from Europe, is also very hard to find here, especially if it's a car that has exactly to fit into this narrow street. So that too was a challenge, which I didn't anticipate. But yeah, basically the idea came from, so this is a film that I made in my first year at film school here in New York. And we have a lot of restrictions on our films in first year. This was the first time where we were allowed to use dialogue, where we could have 3 actors, which I ended up using, and we were allowed 3 locations max. And thinking that I would make it easy on myself, just having 1 location, I chose one that is visually interesting enough to host the entire story, basically. So that's where the whole idea came from. And actually, I've heard a lot of stories about people moving cars back in the day when cars were smaller and a little lighter. And like my dad's generation, they played those practical jokes basically all the time to their friends. So they basically just relocated the car. So the next morning, the person has to go look for it. Yeah, and then I started to shape that story around that.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is, I think their idea is very common to many people around the world. Moving cars, we either do it as a practical joke, as you say, or sometimes we have to do it. We have to, for some reason, lift the car and then shift it to another place. And
Yeah.
we ask people to come and help, and bigger cars would need 5-6 people, but it can be done,
It can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and probably anybody would have had this experience at one point in his life of moving a car, maybe just a little bit, maybe in a way or another. So you went to an experience that already makes us smile, because we think, oh, this happened to me, and it's usually in peculiar situations. I mean, you don't move the car just for the sake of it.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah, you do it either to make a joke, a nice joke on people, or to do or for other purpose, but obligatory purpose. And then you wrote this script, as you say, with the directions you've had from your school, and then you are a script writer. You thought of the story in your mind, and then what is your process? How do you go about making your films? Do you take how much does it take you to write a story like this, and then what do you do to go to the next level, and then who produced it, and yeah, no, just so that we know a little bit in what conditions you made all this.
Sure. Yeah, happy to talk about that. In this specific case, because it was part of my schoolwork, we had a very like set timeline. So I was still editing a documentary that I shot over the winter break and while I was writing the script. So we had a writing class, and usually you come in with an idea, just an outline, that's something that interests you. Usually the things that interest me, they kind of stay with me and they don't leave me. So at some point I will just sit down and write or start outlining an idea. And then I basically just tell it to people and see if they somehow are interested in this like I am. And if I can see some spark in their eyes, I'm thinking, okay, this is worth to pursue and to write it out, and then to shape my characters around it and try to find. Usually I think of people that I know when I write my characters, so I can add some real you know, attributes to them, and then from there I kind of go and depersonalize them from the actual person, so they can become their own person from the script. But every script is also different. I mean, with this one, it was very short. It's a 5-minute film, so the script wasn't too long. So I could just dive into exploring dialogue in between Daniele and Cameron. And I wrote many pages that didn't end up in the script. And then once I started finding my actors, I just had them meet and see how their chemistry was. And then I adjusted according to their personality, the script and the dialogue. And yeah, working with the actors, once you find them, really helps to get your script to that next level where you feel like you can shoot it.
Yeah, so you had them propose to you dialogue changes, and you had them into kind of being involved also in the process of writing. I would say before even
They
acting.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
So basically I had them for rehearsal, and then I tested different actors and different combinations, and they knew the story. I mean, it was very physical, which helps actors a lot, of like a physical task.
Mm.
And then I said, okay, just forget about the dialogue, the lines, just say how you would say it to each other. You know what the task is. And from there, I basically then started to make it sound more like they actually talk.
Okay, okay. So you wanted, in fact, you did succeed to bring this film to a very realistic everyday scene, because two friends goofing off, leaving maybe a bar, and then they, because they've had a few drinks, they decide to do something a little bit stupid, let's say, but still, I
Yeah,
mean, everybody has done this. I mean,
I hope
because
so.
exactly. So everybody recognize himself in, yeah, they're gonna do something a bit stupid, but then this is the age to do it. You will not be able to do it 10 years later.
Yes.
So and then how did you shoot this film? Also, tell me about your how long did it take you? Because we're in one place, one night. How long did it take you to shoot this film, and how did you go about shooting it?
Yeah, we were given from the school. It was because it was a school project. We had all these, limitations to how long, and all of these kind of things, and the equipment was given to us. So that was a big weight off our shoulders that we didn't have to take care of. We were not allowed to use a lot of lights. So basically what you find is how the alley looks in still nowadays. And we planted like 2 small LED powered units in the alley. So sometimes you can see a little further, or you can rim the car so it stands out a little better, or the red shines a little more. Excuse me. But other than that, we really didn't touch the lighting too much. And that was also important for me to find something that already works as a location. So the location kind of is a character in itself as well. We were given 3 shooting days, and unfortunately, the very first day that we started shooting was one of those days where it rains for 24 hours,
Okay.
which can happen when you shoot outside. And we didn't really have a backup plan. So we tried to shoot, and then the rain just showed, and my actors were freezing. Everyone was soaked wet, so we had to call it. And I sat with my camera man who was a classmate of mine, and we sat together and said, okay, how can we make this work in 2 days, and how can we combine shots? And you have to stay that flexible when you're making films. So yeah, we combined shots and then basically started all over again the next day. And then we had 2 nights, so it had to be dark, so you have to wait for sunset, and then you have an overnight shoot that can be up to 12 hours. I think we did it in 10 hours each day. And yeah, and then we had 2 nights of shooting, and everyone was really tired after and needed to take a short break before going
Yeah.
into the next
I
shoot.
can imagine, yeah. Shooting late at night so that you won't hear noises, you won't have distractions. I suppose that, yeah, it takes you to 4 a.m. maybe. So
Yeah,
that,
we wrapped at 5 a.m., I think. So when the sun was coming up again. And New York City is never quiet.
yeah,
So
yeah,
speaking
yeah.
of the noises, we had to, when the car would come by, we had to wait because it was supposed to look like an empty street in a way where
Exactly,
just sometimes
exactly.
people
Yeah,
come.
yeah, yeah.
So
And you
that
did
was,
have some extras there, no? Who those were extras. There were not people walking in the street, I suppose.
twice there were real people just walking by.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you capture them and you had them also in the movie.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
It was really great because sometimes when they would walk by, my actors would sometimes they would be like, oh, are we supposed to stop now? And sometimes they would just go for it and pretend that this is really happening, which
yeah,
was great. And I ended up really liking those takes because it's real, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's exactly and the story, in fact, is very interesting. But you had this character who helped them, and he's a bit funny character because he's doing this to his uncle, and he wouldn't even say it. He would just okay, I'll help you guys. What's the
Yeah.
story behind that? Is this revenge, or is it just an airheaded guy who doesn't care? Or it's funny how you chose to portray this fellow.
Yeah. Well, initially I wanted like a threat to come into the story, someone who's like, oh my God, he's gonna reveal what we're doing here. And then he keeps the secret that he knows the owner of this car and he has the keys. So there should be something mysterious about him. And I didn't want to give it away right away what his secret was. So he had to kind of be, he had to keep the secret behind this wall that he presents. Um, I left that pretty much to my actor, how he wanted to, why he would do that. So we didn't really, I didn't give him an answer to that, and I think he had one for himself. It was revenge or something else, but yeah, I wanted to have that reveal in the end. That's kind of surprising, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But it did create with the characters and also the audience, an emotion that like the unexpected. This guy. At first, people. I thought that it was the owner of the car himself, but it was just the nephew of the owner. But
yeah,
still, it was surprising. But and leaving it like that without dialogue, without it's better maybe because I think each one will have his own opinion of why he did this.
right.
maybe he's just a strange guy, you know, one of those guys who don't mind doing strange things and not reacting to those strange things. You know, you could
Yeah,
that kind of you know, and it is in comedy. It is also used as you know, they call it sometimes the fool, or they call it, you know, sometimes you know, someone who will act with truth, and then you know, he will make us laugh because he's just you know, that's the way he sees the world. He would just say something that nobody would say, or do something
right.
nobody would do.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect.
But tell me, what are you now? You are you still a student?
I just graduated last week, actually.
Wow, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
But which school did you graduate from?
NYU.
Ah, NYU. So it's the cinema program, I suppose.
Yeah, it's the grad film program.
It's a undergrad,
No, grad.
grad. So it's a master in what? In
Master of Fine Arts, they call it. Yeah.
master of fine arts, and you learn basically how to write, no, or even how to direct and how to.
It's a very broad program actually. So they put us through every position. So in this year, this first year, you have to do every position that there is on set. You have to do camera once, you have to do lighting, you have to do sound,
Uh,
you have to direct.
uh,
Usually we write our own stuff, so it's always writing and directing focused, but you can also pick a different focus if you want later in your studies. Yeah.
okay, yeah, and it's a 1 year program, a 2 year program.
It's 3 years, and with COVID, it's I actually ended up doing it in 5 years with COVID. Yeah.
Wow, 3 years. That's a long master's, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Uh,
film is also a
yeah,
very
yeah,
complex
yeah.
medium.
I'm sure there is a lot to be learned. Even in 3 years, you still need more time to
Yeah.
to know it all. But and your undergrad was what? Which field are you coming from?
I'm coming from communication design,
Oh,
actually. I was a designer before, but we also had a film project when I learned, and that was in my second year. And that's when I started to become really interested in film because it had more aspects of what I was interested in than just design. And
okay.
that's how
That's
it all
nice.
started. Yeah.
That's very nice. And what are your plans now that you have your degree in your pocket? Head
I've
for
been asked
Hollywood
that question
or
a lot. So I shot a short in Germany in January that I'm working on right now.
okay, very good.
And
That
I
you are writing? You are writing?
yes, yes.
Oh, okay,
And
very good.
writing and directing is my
Good.
focus. Yeah. And I wrote a feature script, which I'm still working on, but we're trying to get it financed right now and hopefully
Uh,
go in production next year. So fingers crossed on that.
yeah, yeah, it's a big jump, you know, the way
Yes.
you do, but you know, but the sooner you do it, the better.
Oh, yes, I agree.
So that you can move on to other things, because it's like the big mountain one has to climb, but you know, if you should be able to climb it. The way you've been handling this short film shows me that you have you know, a lot of talent to you know, do cinema. So you
Thank you
should.
so much.
Yeah, well, the best luck to you. The best luck to your film in our festival.
Thank
And
you.
hopefully if you make another comedy, we because we are a comedy festival, and we are always interested in comedies. Don't forget about us, so that you could maybe send us another work that is comedy, and
I will.
so that we can stay in touch and follow your career path, successful career path,
Thank
hopefully.
you so much. Yes, that would be lovely.